All right, welcome back today. I'm going to get started here on the next part here. So it'll be part 4, I think. Part 4 for the cab rebuild here. So we're just moving along. Last time we finished up the floor pan and the cab mount and a little patch on the firewall. And today we're going to finish doing the floor here. Well, I won't say today, but I'm going to get started today. So I got this goofy little patch I decided I'm going to make right here. And just want to show you how I go about doing something like this, because this floor section here, you can't buy any kind of patches for it, as far as I know. Your option is to either find somebody with a cab and you can take that out, or make it by hand. I'm going to make it by hand because it's much easier, in my opinion, than trying to search out a cab that has a good section here. And being those I'm in the Rust Belt here in Pennsylvania, that's not likely to happen at all. I got some sheet metal, which came from my old cabinet that I scavenged from work when we were cleaning out. Sometimes all you gotta do to get some free metal, just ask. You know, they're throwing it out anyways. You never know, you might be allowed. So I was allowed, so I made myself this awesome patch. This is my rough patch, and then from there I transferred it over on top of that old cabinet, and I cut it out using a grinder. And I also have these shears that I talked about in the past. These are nice to have just because there's no sparks flying around. It just, doing straight cuts on smooth metal like this, no brainer. I would just use that. But I'll have to do something on this, because I decided to go with a cordless grinder, and I bought a cheapy, whatever brand this is, that accepts the Makita batteries that I have, because I have 4 of these. So I'm giving this a shot. We'll see how it does. So far, so good, but that's for another time. But anyways, we got to get, I can't talk. My main concern is I want to get this where I'm going to have it butt welded. I want to get that part perfect, because then all this other stuff, I cut it pretty big so I can roll this edge, and then I'll trim it to fit at the end. But if you see, it's got a little bit of a contour there. Comes about there, and then rolls down, and then it will eventually come down right here, and then it'll be a flat edge, because then it gets spot welded here, and that's supposed to carry up. But you can already see that I have more to do than just this piece going here alone. I'll have to put in a little section here, tie that all in, but that, I'm not really worried about that. That's going to be pretty easy. I was just knocking down this a little bit from when I welded in this patch, and then this is a seat mount bolt. I was drilling it out, so I got to finish doing that. And I'll have to look at the capture nut on the back to see what it's like. So if it's thick enough, I'm gonna tap it, and then I'll put a new bolt. If not, I'm just gonna end up drilling the whole thing out till it pops out, and then I'll just throw a new nut, welded it on, and then I'll throw a bolt in, and that'll be good. But yeah, I'm gonna get rolling here. I'll come back once I get more of this here fit up. Right now I just started working on this corner, so I got this where I want it. Now I gotta get ready to see how it'll carry over to about there. So I'll be back here in a few. There's one thing that's nice working with like 18 gauge. That's what this is here. And you can maneuver it pretty well. So obviously I'm trying to match this up. You can already see I got a bend in it. So I pretty much just put my hand here, held it in place how I wanted it, took this flat bar, just laid it in that spot there, and kind of overlapped it on there, and held this, and just gave her a good push. Now we got kind of like we'll call it a preform. I mean, I could still make that nicer, but this will get me in a general area here. That way I can mark where I want to trace, or cut out. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Trace this, I'll cut that out, and then I'll start to kind of fit this up a little bit better. Okay. So I got my question answered whether or not this mounting point was gonna be good. I was trying to drill it out. I ended up just pushing this right out, but I'm not even gonna bother with that. Myself 3/8 grade 8 nut, and I just kind of knocked down the one edge, that way it would fit in the square hole. And now I just got this bolt, this junky bolt in place, just to make sure it's pretty, you know, upright. And now I'm gonna get some welds right here. Those will get knocked down a little bit if needed, and then I'll go back under and weld around the perimeter of the nut, and then we'll be good to go with that. And that'll take care of the seat mount, the front one there. You can see we got it in there pretty good. I don't even have to do anything else with it. Don't touch it with your hands. Check and see if it moves. I mean, it moves freely, it's all good. I'll let it cool down a little bit, and then that'll be that. And then we can move along, get our patch laid in over top of it, and then eventually you'll have to drill a new hole, which no big deal. Moving along with the floor stuff here. Like I said, I had to patch this here, so I made myself a little strip. You can see I gotta weld it all along here. So I just kind of held this. It was straight at first. I lined it up with this edge up here, and then I just kind of marked where I, you know, saw the bend, and then I used my jig, as in I just lined up that mark and started kind of pulling up on it, and then just go a little bit at a time. Looks pretty good. Now the other thing I want to show you is when it comes to doing, you know, rust repair stuff like this, I highly recommend these little magnets. Strong hand tools, I believe they sell these. They're all on Amazon and whatnot, so those are pretty cool. I'll put a link in the description for those. And also these I think these ones are actually from Harbor Freight, but there's a couple other companies that have them. But what it is it little screw, you know, wing nut screw, and it's actually welded to this little flat piece of metal. It goes down in between the gap there, and then there's a straight bar. It goes like this, so when you tighten it, it pulls it up, and it puts these two panels flush. So I'm going to bounce over here so you can see that. Yep. But in this case, I mean, you can use it to get panels like perfect and whatnot, but in my case, I'm actually just kind of using it as a demonstration and also like a holding clamp at the moment. So I'm going to get it tacked in here, and I'll put ones down here. This edge, I just got to tap it with a hammer a little bit just to get it perfect, and then we'll be good. Okay, just jumping back real quick, I'll show you. I got that gap all welded up. Up there. I didn't tie it in, you know, the other way here, because like I said, this actually meets up with the flange that's under the floor piece here. So I'm kind of waiting until I get this and then see how far I got to go with this before I weld that. But other than that, it's all good. This is better than original now. Okay, so you can see it finished out for the most part. I just knocked it down with the grinder, and then took one of these guys here. This is actually 36 grit. You can go a lot further than that, you know, go to 120 and stuff, make it perfect, but that's good enough. Now that I got that all done, and we got the seatbelt mount bolt there, finally back to this. I can get it laid in here and start fitting that up a little better. Just getting back to this, so I did get that piece laid in here, and got it pretty well bent up. This isn't, you know, absolutely original bend or whatever you want to call it there, but it'll work. And then I sort of didn't feel like taking time to like trim this or do anything yet. Just gonna go with a different plan of attack. Basically, I get all this locked in, because this is more complicated in my opinion. Get all this in, And then I just pretty much, usually what I do here is, you can see I started to fold it over. You know, I'll get these overlapped, and then I'll just pick, pretty much follow this edge here, and I will just cut right down along there. And then when it's all done, it'll there'll be a little bit of a gap, and then I'll just weld it right here. But I do have to make some little you know, patch for this. And then I actually think I can get this with the welder and then just kind of work it in there, and then by the time I clean this up, you won't even know. And then I gotta finish welding a couple more spots here, get this all knocked down, and then I'll just have to make this patch, which I think this patch is gonna be bigger because this part of the floor is a little questionable. And again, we're here now, so let's take care of it. But you already see it's coming up into there, so I don't know if it's gonna end up being this big thing or if it's just gonna be this or something like that, but we'll see. This, again, this for anybody else doing this, they'd probably be much better off just buying a cab and going that route. But like I said, for me, this is specifically for me, that I enjoy kind of like doing this puzzle thing, and also just saving something that most likely would get scrapped. I know that's why I'm only saying this because a lot of people watching this are probably like, just get a new cab. And it's just like, well, I don't really want to do that because cabs around here are pretty expensive. And if you spend $1,000 on a cab, most of them still need the floor work and stuff, or they need this cab corner area. So I've only seen a couple cabs that were worth even, you know, considering if you were to go that route. But I'll tell you, most of the ones I see on Marketplace, Facebook, and stuff like that, they are ranging, I'd say for a rust-free cab, they're anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 here, and that's in Western PA. So we're gonna get back to this. I'm gonna get this all finished up. Once I get this finished up, then we'll keep following it. So I got this all in here now. I just got done hitting it with the flap wheel now that I got it knocked down pretty good. So you can see what it looks like. So we still, pretty much maintain the factory contour there. Got it knocked down pretty flush. Doesn't have to be perfect for me. I just wanted it knocked down pretty flat, that's all. That was just my preference. And as I said, I'm going to end up probably putting that encapsulator, platinum plus stuff, whatever, on this. So that'll protect everything really nicely. So now we'll get ready and start chasing this stuff. All right, so got my next piece made here, pretty much. That's the way it's going to look. And unfortunately, this is probably going to get changed. I actually don't know if I need this piece. I thought I see this little spot. I have to check underneath the cab and see what it looks like. But I know underneath the cab there's a support. It kind of goes like this. So it goes along here, it actually wraps up like that. And that seems to be in this little area just right here. But I don't know if it goes up further, so it's questionable. But I might just have to do one strip. I would do all one panel, but you can see there's a bunch of complex curves there, and sometimes, I don't know, I just don't feel like messing with all that, so it's easier to just make one thing at a time, one bend, and it's much easier to match all that up, get that welded in, and then you know, work on the next one. The only downside to doing it just like this is, you know, I'm going to have additional weld seams that I'm going to have to grind down. But that doesn't matter because that's really the easy part. You're just knocking it down to where you want it and then call it good. So, yeah, I'll get going on this. As you can see, I already got this one pretty much welded in. I got it trimmed as well, so that'll look good. So now I'll get this all knocked down, make sure we don't have any, you know, spots that didn't penetrate. Touch those up, and then we'll be moving on to this section. I just need to find my T50 socket because I think that's what size that is. But other than that, this is all coming along nicely. And this will be the last like section here of the floor, I think, on this side. Maybe not. That's okay. Okay. So far, did this whole piece here up to that point. Got it pretty well knocked down where I want it. Just a little bit more here, but I'll worry about that whenever I take care of that. So we're moving up into the seatbelt area here, this weird patch. It'll be a little interesting. I'm gonna have to do what I did here, which I still have to drill out from the bottom, but I actually put a new nut and everything, like rebuilt that seatbelt, not seatbelt, but that's a seat mount. This is the seatbelt bolt, so I'm gonna have to redo that too. And then this structure underneath the reinforcement is going to need patched in some places as well. But I'm probably not going to do that till I get everything up top here finished, because my plan then is to take this whole cab, probably roll it onto its back. And that way I can get, you know, up under there without crawling on the ground, because I don't really want to do that. So at least in this moment, my goal is to just get the sheet metal, the actual floor, patched right up in here, and then I'll be good there. I'll probably stop with the floor on this side, and then I will get ready to start working on the cab mount, floor pan, and little patches on that side next. Okay, so you saw I got that cut out. So again, like I said, I like to use this to, after I cut stuff out like that, you know, you saw me kind of go around the perimeter. So I do like a light grind, that kind of just tells me the metal's still good, or if it's not, you know, you'll see it get thinned out, pitted, whatever. But I can see this is actually cleaning up nicely, so that tells me right now that that's all good. So now at this point, I'll start making a template to make a patch out of, and then weld it all in. Okay, I got my patch in there, got it all welded. Welds aren't like amazing looking, but it is all welded. I'll just have to knock it all down and get it like this, although I don't really care too much because this is under the seat, behind the seat kind of, so yeah. And I got my awesome candle burning, because the citronella candle burning, because as I was welding and it being dark, I had gnats, all kinds of weird bugs just flying up inside my hood, and this actually worked, keeping them out of my hood while I was welding. This is pretty cool though, because now I actually have the driver's side of the floor basically all repaired. Just moving along. And then just kind of moving forward, as I said before, I'm just going to get the floor itself done, you know, that other cab mount and floor pan. That way this cab can actually get onto the chassis. For me, that's key because I don't have a lot of room to store stuff, so I need to be able to put stuff together. It just makes it easier for me, and then I'll worry about this stuff as I move along, you know, down the line, because it's really no big deal to do it at that point. I'm just going to keep moving along, get this all ground down, and then we'll be done here. And I need to order a floor pan and a cab mount. Okay, let's just jump back in here real quick. It's been a been a little bit since I was talking about the floor finish and everything like that. So since then, basically all I did was cover it with some primer sealer here after I ground everything down, and then this is just black paint. Nothing too crazy right now, but you know, just to kind of preserve what I did, because this cab actually had to sit outside for probably about 2 weeks before I had a chance to bring it in. Let me show you real quick. So overall, you know, I'm happy with the way the floor turned out. It's not done yet. I still have to do a final coat of something on it, but getting the back view here. It's kind of interesting to have a full floor pan here now. It's great. Yeah, pretty happy with it. And then I got this one laid in here now and tacked in place, but that'll be the next part. So right now that'll wrap it up, and next time we jump back on the cab, it'll be me doing this floor pan and getting that cab mount in place. And just showing you what you can do with basically, I mean, I'll just call it, this cab was trash, but now it's, you know, it's come back to life. So that'll wrap it up for this one for now. And we'll just leave that the way it is. And then, like I said, next time I'll show everybody starting on this side with the floor pan and cab mount and everything with that. But I hope you guys and gals enjoyed, you know, what you saw. Hopefully you can take something away from this, whether it's good or something maybe not to do. Either way, I'm glad to provide something. Like what you saw in this video, you know, I'd appreciate a like. And if you want to see more stuff in the future, subscribe and, you know, click on that bell. That way you get notifications, because I'll be continuing along with this side. And eventually I got to get this cab flipped upside down and actually do some of the bracing that I couldn't quite get to from the top side. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching and support. As always, we will see you all in the next one.